तिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च ईश्वरा परमा कृष्ण सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकाल. Welcome back to our Brahmasamhita session. So today we are going to discuss from text number 44 of Brahmasamhita, chapter number 5. In the previous verse, as Brahmaji has explained about the different abodes of different devatas, and the supermost and topmost abode of Lord Sri Hari, which is known as a Goloka. Goloka-namni nijadhamni talecha tasya Devi Mahesha-dhäma teshu teshu te te prabhava nichaya vihitashyena Govindam Adi-purusham tamaham bhajami. That's the previous verse where the exact location of each and every abode has explained. Where is Goloka? Where is Mahesha-dhäma, the abode of Lord Shiva? Where is the abode of Durgä, which is known as the Devi-dhäma? So all we are here in the Devi-dhäma. So who is the predominating deity of this Devi-dhäma and how she functions? That has explained in this text number 44. Srishti sthiti pralaya sadhana shakti reka Chayeva yasya bhuvanai bibharti durga Ichhanurupamapi yasya cha cheshtate sa Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So translation of this verse: the shadow of the transcendental potency is that great potency who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material universe. Chayeva yasya bhuvanani bibharti durga. Ichhanurupam api yasya cheshtate sa. She is worshipped through the world as Durga. I worship the original personality of a Godhead, Sri Govinda, in accordance with whose desire Durga conducts her every endeavor. As Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti kriyamanani gune karmani sahasra. Gune karmani. The Prakriti in this world, which is also known as the external energy of the Lord, and which has a specific name, that is Durga. So she works according to the direction of the Lord. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate cha characharam. Lord says everything that works under his control. So Jiva Goswami Pad in his Tika, he says, in the previous verse, Brahmaji has described Devi-dhäma, Mahesha-dhäma and Hari-dhäma. So Devi-dhäma is this material world, Mahesha-dhäma is the abode of Lord Shiva, and Hari-dhäma is Goloka-dhäma. And Hari-dhäma is also, not is also, it is Vaikuntha. And Goloka is about that. So Lord Brahma has spoke about 4 abodes. Devi-dhäma, this material world. Mahesha-dhäma, Sadashivaloka, Kailas. Hari-dhäma, there are different numbers or innumerable numbers of Vaikuntha planets where Lord's innumerable incarnations are residing. And Goloka-dhäma, the eternal abode where Lord Sri Krishna he stays. Now the respective shelters of all those dhams, that is their presiding deities, are being described in the 5 consecutive shlokas beginning with this, the present verse, text 44. So as Lord Sri Krishna is presiding deity of Goloka Vrindavan, Ananda Chinmaya Rasatmaya Manasu Rasa Pratibhavita Vistabhirya Yeva Nija Rupa, where he stays with his own original form, with his original paramours, the gopis, where he plays eternally his flute. So he resides there. That place is known as a Goloka. So now this particular verse is describing about the presiding deity of material universe, which consists of 14 planetary systems. And the presiding deity is Durga, even about whom the personified Vedas in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Veda Stuti is explained, chapter number 87 and text number 28, where the Vedas, they are speaking about this external energy of the Lord. They say, Tvam makaran swarada khilkaraka shakti dharas tava balim utvahanti samadantya ajayani mishaha varshabhujo akhila kritipate Iva Vishvasruja Vidhati Yatra Yetvava Adhikrita Bhavata Sashakti. O Prabhu, although you are the independent controller and have no connection with this material senses, the entire ability of living beings to function with their working senses is conducted by you. O Shri Govinda, Master of Golok, the presiding deities headed by Durgadevi and Mahesha present all the offerings of their puja, that is worship, unto your illustrious lotus feet. Just as the presiding lord of the separate kingdoms accept the gifts presented by their respective subjects and in turn presents them to the emperor. As everyone executes their prescribed work in accordance with their respective qualification out of fear of you, similarly Durgadevi surrenders the offerings made in worship to your lotus feet, although she is the presiding deity of her abode. So what is her abode? The specific attributes of Devi-dhäma have already been described. And now the presiding deity of that abode is being described in the current shloka. The place from which Brahmaji is offering his prayers to the Lord of Golok is this universe, composed of 14 planetary systems known as Devi-dhäma. And the presiding deity is Durga. If you have seen the picture or form of Mother Durga, she's having a 10 hands, 10 arms, and that represents the tenfold fruitive activities. She is also known as a Simha-vahini because she rides upon the lion as the expression of her heroic prowesses. As the subduer of sin, she is also known as Mahesha-dhäma because she tramples down the demon Mahesha, who is none other than the personification of sin. She is the mother of two sons, all you must be knowing. One is Kartikeya and Lord Ganesha, who represents beauty and success. And she is also situated in the middle of her two other sisters or associates, whom we called as a Lakshmi and Saraswati, the material opulences and material knowledge personifications. In order to subdue sin, she holds 20 kinds of weapons, which comprises the ways of righteousness defined in the Vedas. Because her beauty is all-devouring time, and she is known as Sarpa Shogini, along with the serpents. Kala Sarpa, generally, time is always has an adjective as a Sarpa. Kala Sarpa, because as snake, he swallows its prey. The same way the Kala, the time, that swallows each and every living entity in this material world. And she is having that all-devouring form, which is known as a Sarpavahini. So she possesses different forms, Navadurga. So what is this, or from where this name Durga has come? In Sanskrit, Durga means, Dur means very difficult, Ga means to go. The place from where it is very difficult to go out, that is called as a Durga. Or the place which is very difficult to come in also. When that Durga is made up of a sadhu sangha, it is also very difficult to enter there because of your false ego. And it's very difficult to go out of that also when it comes to your material attachments. This material world is called as a Durga, where the jivas, they get confinement. They get confined in this place. They get captured. They are put into this place. And the superintendent of this place, the superintendent of this Durga is Durga, who is predominating deity of this particular material world, where all the jivas who are born from the Tathastha Shakti of the Lord are put into the place, because they are aversion to Sri Krishna, as confined within the dungeon of the gross material elements. As it is said that Krishnendriya Pritivancha Premadharyanam Atmendriya Pritivancha Atme Tarabalikam. When you have a desire to enjoy yourself, that is called as a kama. So when heart is full of a kama, then jiva, he gets averse to the Lord's desire, and he comes here in this material world to enjoy. And that tendency of enjoyment bounds that jiva in this material world. And these bound jivas are punished by being crushed in the will of fruitive activities. Ahankara vimudatma kartahamiti manyate. The foolish jiva, he thinks himself as a doer in this material world. And prakriti sthani karshati. Karshati means he gets crushed down. In India, in olden days, even now also in some remote part of the villages, you will find that every day they grind their own grains to make breads or chapatis or rotis. So they have that particular grinder which has a pivot in the middle. The upper portion, the upper flip has a hole on top of that, and the down one has a pivot into that, and it is placed in that. And when they pour grains through that hole, and then some Mataji or gentle lady, she grinds that. She grinds all that grains, make them into the powder. So same way, jivas, all the jivas, who thinks that themselves as the doer, enjoyer in this material world, they get crushed in the wheel of time by the prakriti, by this material nature. And she's very faithful and she's very loyal to her master. She is very loyal in her job and she does her job perfectly. And that's why the jivas who want to enjoy, they get really bound by their desire and they get crushed down in the wheel of fruitive activities. Only to fulfill Sri Govinda's desire, Durga continuously performs this task as the method to purify the living entities who are averse to him. So what is her great job that Lord has given her? That she crushes all the jivas who are averse to Lord's desire. Ishwaroham aham bhogi siddhoham balvan sukhi, who has this particular attitude. I am the controller, I am the real enjoyer. To purify them, she is constantly engaged in this service. It's a thankless job. Actually putting us into the trouble, she is purifying us. So we should thank her, but we never do that. And living entities turn their attention within when by good fortune and influence of the association of enlightened devotees, they give up their indifference to Krishna. So what is the great chance to get rid of this punishment or from this Durga is association of devotees. Because in the association of devotees, we develop service attitude. And that service attitude makes us surrender to their lordship. And that takes us towards the Krishna. Because those pure devotees, they have that service attitude, so they can give it to others. It's a simple thing. The person who has only he can give. So when you have the association of a great devotees, that association will free you from the Durga. So generally what happens, if someone takes shelter of Lord Krishna's lotus feet, then again in accordance with the desire of Sri Govinda, Durga brings about their liberation. This same Maya helps you to liberate also. Therefore, one should try to attain the genuine, non-deceptive favor from the prison warden, Durga, by pleasing her through one's mood of introspection and attentiveness to the Lord, to the Bhagavan, Lord Sri Krishna. If she sees that if someone is engaged in the service of Krishna directly, then she becomes very favorable. And she provides you what is needed for you to render service to their Lordship. She helps you out to get out of this material world. That's why this Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, that's why this creation, maintenance, annihilation is done by her, as per the desire of Lord Sri Govinda. So one should understand that if one begs from Devi benedictions such as a wealth, followers, sons, family members, and freedom from ill health, her kindness is fulfilling such a boons is deceptive. Durga manifests the 10 varieties of knowledge called as a Dasha Mahavidyas, so that the bewildered jivas in the mundane realm can pursue mundane knowledge. It's she only who makes you get more and more entangled in this material world, and if you please her by rendering service to Krishna, she gives you a chance to get rid of her clutches also. It depends upon you. How do you want to approach her? Generally, she is known as the Durga Ma. Ma means mother. So generally, mother sometimes she gives whatever the child wants. She makes sure that he get that experience, and if he is intelligent, he can come out of that. Otherwise, she just keeps providing him, and he gets entangled more and more and more into this material world. Even though Jiva is being the part and parcel of the Lord, he has all the transcendental qualities that their Lordship has. But problem is that because of that minute parameter or quantity, he creates that indifference between him and their Lordship and gets agitated by the Maya. And as soon as that living entity is thus agitated, Durga dresses him in the gross material body, which can be compared to the convict's prison's clothes. So all we are having, this material body, is nothing but our convict's prison dress, This dress has given us to be in this material world and suffer for whatever sins that we have done. See, to having this gross material body is not also a great thing. As explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 30th chapter, I think, where it is said that Karmana Daiva Netrena Jantur Deha Prapatyate. Stri Garabha Pravishyati Pumsa Vetakana Ashraya. By taking shelter of the semen of a male, they enter into the womb of female. And Karmana Daiva Netrena, under the supervision of Prakriti, Daiva, they get the particular body. Jantur Deha Prapadyate. You get this body. So here it is as explained. She awards you this kind of a dress. And this dress is composed of 5 gross elements. Kamvayu Jyoti Apaha. There are 5 elements: earth, water, ether, fire. So this body is composed of that gross 5 elements. Then 5 sense objects and 11 senses. So what are these 5 sense objects? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. The sound, beauty, the form, taste, smell, and touch. These are the objects of senses. And there are 11 senses. 5 Gyanendriyas and 5 Karmendriyas. 5 the knowledge acquiring senses and 5 through which you operate, through you function. And 1 is mind. So you have this 11 senses. So when the Jiva is thus attired, Durga places him in the cycle of fruitive work, wherein he tastes material experiences such as happiness and distress in heaven or in hell. In addition to this gross body, she also endows him with the subtle body composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. And when the Jiva gives up one's gross body, he carries the subtle body with him to the next body, Vayur Gandha Ivansa. Like the air carries the aroma, same way the subtle body, which meant of a mind, intelligence, and ego, that carries you from one gross body to another gross body, from one life, from one particular body to another gross body. And that's why we carry memories. Like in this same body, sometimes we dream that I'm a tiger and I'm jumping on some deer. So from where that thing has come to your mind, even though you have not seen personally the tiger, how he catches the deer, but you get that dreams because those impressions are from when you had that tiger body. Because all these impressions, they are carried by the mind from one body to another body. And that's why it says that karmana gahano gati, the reactions of our activities, to understand them and their effects is very difficult, because you don't know in which particular body you have performed that activities and you are carrying that impression with you in your mind. And actually, as per your desire, Mother Durga, she facilitates you with all this paraphernalia so that either you can enjoy so-called happiness in this world or suffer for the dukkha or sufferings from in this world. The subtle body, composed of ignorant and sinful desires, cannot be discarded until Jiva attains liberation. The real liberation means attaining your pure consciousness, your real identity. What you are carrying in the subtle body, mind, intelligence, and ego. So right now we have false ego. Now our intelligence is polluted and mind is also polluted. So false identity, when you come in association with the devotees, you get your own identity. Generally, when you get initiated or when you get diksha, then what happens? You become dasa. Your real identity is given to you. You are this and this dasa. So you are the servant of the Lord. Then automatically, in the association of devotees, your intelligence also gets purified. Dhya, ahara shuddhi, sattva shuddhi. When you take the Lord's prasadam, prasad means mercy, the food, a sanctified food which is offered to the Lord, that purifies your existence. And then your intelligence gets purified. And when once intelligence is purified, then the minds get purified and you visualize your own form and get liberated from this world. So it says that after ridding himself of the subtle body, when you give up this subtle body, and when Jiva he bathes into the Viraja river and goes to the Hari-dhäma, Durgadevi performs all these duties in accordance to with the Sri Govinda's desire. She helps us out. She can put us down here and she can liberate us also. So Viraja river it's in between this Devi-dhäma and Hari-dhäma. So when you cross this Viraja river, when you can cross this Viraja river, when you give up this subtle body, ignorant subtle body, which is made up of a false ego polluted intelligence and impure mind. When you give that up, when you get ridding of this subtle body, then Jiva bathes in the Viraja river and goes to the Hari-dhäma. So as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 5th chapter, text number 13, Vilajyamanaya yasya sthatutvam ikshupate amanya vimohita viktattanente mahamavaham metidori iha. The illusory energy of the Lord cannot take precedence, being ashamed of her position. But those who are bewildered by her always talks nonsense, being absorbed in the thoughts of I and mine. So generally, the jivas who get bewildered by this Dashamahavidya, what happens with the material knowledge and misidentification? They get bound with mama, ahama, me and mine, aham mameti. And such persons get shackled by Mother Durga in this material. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that Durga's relationship is with the Jiva who have turned away from Krishna. The Durgadevi, who is worshipped in the mundane world, is the shadow of aspect of Durga, whereas the Durga who takes the form of the covering of Lord's abode in the form of a mantra is in spiritual maid servant of Krishna. And the shadow aspect of Durga perform her duties in the mundane world as the servant of the Durga in the spiritual world. There is a Yoga Maya and there is a Mahamaya. So Yoga Maya, she protects the jivas from falling down. And Mahamaya, she keeps those jivas under her control who are averse to Lord's desire. So she helps somehow or other. The jivas who wanted to get rid of this material world, they take shelter of the real form of that Maya, which is known as a Yoga Maya. And Mahamaya is her shadow, as explained in this verse. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya, Sadhana, Shakti, Rekha, Chayeva Yasya. So she is the shadow of the Yoga Maya. And Yoga Maya's job is that she facilitates the Jiva to render service to their Lordship. And her external root, which is here in this material world, she tries to keep a tab on our activities. She keeps us punishing in this material world so that we can purify our existence. So that's the job of Durga in this material world. And that's her nature. Actually, as per the Sanatan Vedic Dharma, when the Buddhism was so prominent all over the India, and most of the people, they lost touch with the Vedic philosophy. That time, Sripad Shankaracharya, he came and he introduced the Panchopasana, worship of 5 presiding deities. So who are those? Ganesha, Lord Ganesha. Then Ambika, that is Durga. Lord Shiva, Sun God, and Lord Vishnu. And as explained in the Puranas, that by worshipping this many lifetimes, one can elevate himself and he can go to the worship of other Deva. From there he can elevate and he can go to the worship of other, becomes qualified to worship Lord. Like from Ganesha, he worships like 7 lifetimes, then he becomes qualified to worship Durgadevi. When he worships Durgadevi for 7 lifetimes, then he becomes qualified to worship Lord Shiva. If someone worship Lord Surya, if someone becomes like that, 11 lifetimes he worships Lord Shiva, then he becomes qualified to worship Lord Shiva. And when you worship Lord Shiva, when Lord Ashutosh, he gets really pleased with you, then he awards you Vishnu Bhakti. Then you can become qualified to worship Lord Vishnu. So this hierarchy of worship has also explained. In Brahmasamhita also now, Brahmaji has spoke about the external energy of the Lord, how she is working under the control of Lord or accordance with the desire of Lord Krishna. So same way other devatas, how they work, that has explained in these successive 5 verses. So today we have discussed about Mother Durga. So next time we will discuss about Lord Vishnu in the text number 45. So thank you very much for showing your patience and attending this class. So if you have any question, you can just write down in the comment or you can contact me personally. So next Friday we will discuss about Lord Vishnu. Because generally the misconception is that people they consider Krishna as the expansion of Lord Vishnu or incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But here Brahmaji is explaining, or he has already explained in the previous Ramadi Murudeshu Kalani Yamena Dishkannana Avataram Karod Puaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. That Lord Krishna is Parama Pumana, he is the topmost. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. As explained by Shukadeva Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatamastu, Etecham Chakalapam Sam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Who is Bhagavan? Not Krishna. Bhaga means Aishwarya. Bhaga means there are 6 opulences. And one means who possesses. So Lord Krishna, Krishnastu. He is giving more emphasis that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. He is the Supreme Personality of the Godhead. And all others are expansion. So how they are expansion and plenary expansions of Krishna, that has been explained in next few verses. So that will continue from our next session. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Sri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. Shri Radha Govinda Dev Bhagavan ki jai. Prajapati Adi Guru Brahma Ji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.